Yeah. Good morning, guys. This is Dan with the Crayon Brotherhood, and today I'm going to be going over the Adventure Ready Griddle stand. Now, this wasn't my intended video for today, but some of the parts I was waiting on to come in for my other video still haven't come in. Been waiting on those, and I happened to run across this stand at Walmart. They only had 2 of them, and I figured I'd snatch it up and try it out. So there's some pros and cons with it. Number one is, my biggest complaint is the screws they use to assemble this. Is these screws right here. Let me get out of the blocking the light. You have 4 of them in the front and 4 in the back. And as you can see, I've replaced them with grade 8 Allens in the front and stainless Allens in the back. They only had 4 of each at Lowe's, so that's what I picked up. But I only took it apart about 3 different times between tuning it for this one and my 17-inch I wanted to try it just to see how well it fit. And these screws started stripping out. I hope you can see that pretty decent right there. They're really soft screws, and if you're just going to set it up at your house, they'll work fine. I don't see a problem with it. It's when you go to taking it apart and adjusting it and trying it on different things like I did, they are really soft and they will strip out easy. That's why I upgraded to the Allens. The overall quality of it is pretty good. It's pretty sturdy on its lowest setting, which I'll go over heights here in a minute. The legs could be a little easier to install and uninstall for storage, but most of all, if you're just kind of setting it up and leaving it, it works great. It's not a big problem. It's kind of a one and done, but things could be a little easier for assembly and disassembly. That's something that I don't know why they designed it the way they did. When I got it, I was hoping that the legs folded up into the pedestal here. And man, that would have made things a lot easier. Now I got to store a pedestal and legs because I can't leave the pedestal on my griddle in my storage setup. So that part's on me in my setup, but the legs, you would still have to store your griddle and your legs separate. And that's just kind of a pain. Folding up would have been great. You know, that would have been a great way for storage. But as far as the rest of the build, the legs sliding in and out for adjustment works really well. It's really secure. Not mad about that. But fully extended, as you can see, it's got a little shakiness to it. Not bad. Some of it's this table, but you can see the flex and the movement you have in it. Yeah, so for $49, it's not a bad buy, especially if you are overlanding and camping. It's nice to have, free up your table from your griddle, you know, that kind of thing. Gives you a lot more cooking area, and we're always looking for space out there on the trail. So this is, if you have a way to store it, it is not a bad setup. We'll go over the measurements now, and I'll break down on the height of everything from the ground here or tabletop to the top of the pedestal. This will not count your griddle. Each griddle measures different heights, so that's going to vary from griddle to griddle. So again, just going from the tabletop to the top here. The width of it, the way I have it set up for this griddle here, is 17 by 13. Let me double check that. Yeah, overall width 17, overall length is going to be 13 3/8, which is pretty decent. You have a good bit of adjustment on the back side, and I will do a max width here for you real quick. And as you can see, this is your mounting plate on front and back, so you have quite a bit of adjustment in your widths on how wide you want to make it. So again, if you want to make it fit a different griddle than the Blackstone series, it should do it. Just throw a tape on yours and then kind of go from there. I'll give you the minimum and the max if you fall in between there somewhere, or if you want to mount a board to this thing, being it's already got a place to run screws through, so that's an option too. So the max width now is 23 on the footprint here, still by 13 3/8. So it extends quite a bit, 23 inches. So that means, I mean, if you don't want to run a Blackstone, or if you're already running something else and you're interested in this table, throw a tape on your griddle. It might work for you. Like I said, I'm not going to hard mount mine to this right away or at all, because it just won't fit in my setup. But your setup may vary, and you may not have to even hard mount it. Like I said, I'm going to try. If I end up not liking it just free sitting on it, I bought some magnets and some heavy magnets and some washers to put on here to just kind of give it a little snap, something to kind of hold it in place a little better. So assembly is pretty easy. You push it out of from its base length, or storage length as I call it, to the first click. You got two squeezable tabs here, and insert. It is a tight fit, so try not to pinch your fingers, and push it down until it locks. And I repeat the same process on all four legs. Now removing the legs is a little more difficult. I found that if you slide the leg all the way out and then depress the button, it works a little easier, because you do have to work it, being it's a very, very tight fit. So the max height on this thing comes in at 27 and a half inches. That's for all the way maxed height on your stand, not including your griddle. One notch down from that, brings it down to 26 3/4. And one down from that, brings you down to 26 even. Now you have those three adjustments here at a fairly decent height, and you got one more. It's quite a bit shorter. It's your first level of adjustment. And that brings you to 20 and a half. Again, none of that's counting the Blackstone. So that will vary on your overall height depending on what model Blackstone you're running on this. You have one more option. You remove the legs, and it works as like a pedestal to put it on a tabletop, and you don't have to take it off your Blackstone. Like I said, move your legs all the way out. This thing is quite difficult to remove, and return them to however you like to set them. I wish they would have made it a little easier to get the legs in and out. But if this is something that you're just going to kind of set and forget, like at home, it's not that big a deal. But me using it for overlanding and traveling, it does make it a little more difficult. I mean, it's not terrible, but like on this cold morning, it isn't the best feeling on the fingers. But you have this right here, your pedestal, and it comes in at 2 3/4 inch is high, which is not bad. It's not bad for just a little pedestal. Set your Blackstone on it. There you go. Not too bad. It puts it about a good height on these little short tables, so that's not bad. And I may run it like this instead of just here. We'll have to see. Once I get out in the field, we'll have to see what I decide to do on that. It mounts through these holes. You remove the feet and goes in there with these bolts here. So you can see I've installed it a little bit ago, and it wouldn't fit in my storage, so I removed them. I won't be running the bolts. That's how you install it. It's through there into these feet. You remove your feet, which is not terrible, except you don't have a place to put your feet in these legs, and that would have been nice for fine-tune adjustments. At home, it's not a big deal because you're pretty level. So if you're going to be level and not take this thing apart all the time, I'd suggest go ahead and put the bolts in, secure it down to this pedestal, and you know, do it that way. But being out on the trail, this table won't always be that level, and these legs here do have a good bit of adjustment. 1, 2, 3, and 4, which isn't bad, but there's no fine-tune adjustment for leveling it once you put this pedestal on and the legs on your griddle. So I'm going to continue to run my feet on here, and just set the griddle on top. I got some little magnets I was thinking about putting on the pedestal, and the washers on the feet, gluing them to the feet, so it kind of locks in a certain spot. But I mean, it's pretty solid sitting on that pedestal, just sitting there. So I'll test it out this way first for a little bit, and if I have problems with it sliding, I'll end up using magnets to put it on the pedestal. But as you can see, on the pedestal, just sitting there, you still retain, if you leave the feet in, on the Blackstone Adventure Ready Camp Griddle. Your 17-inch and your other ones don't have adjustable feet as far as I know. My 17-inch definitely did not. But as far as this one, if you leave the feet in and let it set, you still retain, you know, the ability to fine-tune level it. And for grease runoff and retention, depending on what you're trying to do, that is key for cooking, in my opinion. So this is it in its fully broken down state, and it does compact pretty good. Like I showed you earlier, the legs do get down in there and fold up even a little further for a little tighter storage than that. So it is fairly compact. And again, if you can mount it to your griddle itself and store it as a whole there, that's even better. Like I said, I just wasn't able to. My box I built, it touches, and I didn't want it vibrating on this lid, you know, while I was out and about running trails, climbing rocks and all that stuff. So just keep that in mind about storage on it and your room. But I think it's a really good universal griddle stand. I don't see people having a problem running Coleman griddles on it or any other griddle, you know, it's a decent size. And for $49, that's really not bad. Just upgrade your screws if you're going to be disassembling it and reassembling it a few times. I could have got away with using the factory screws probably, but my thinking is if I pick something up out on the trail, or, you know, out on a trip, not a trail, but out on a trip, and need a place to store it, I might want to break this down a little further and for storage. And if I'm taking the screws in and out, they were just stripping out already, and I've done it 3 times. So, well, this would have been 4 or 5 times. They're moving it out and bringing it back for the measurements for y'all. And just upgrade the screws. They're M4s by 70 by 12s, and they're $2 for 4 of them, I believe. So you're out $4 to replace all 8 of them, and it just gives you peace of mind. And you don't have to run the Allens. I just like the Allens. It's a little easier to store the Allen key for me. So, but I do believe it's a good buy for, you know, $49. It's not bad, and I plan on using it quite a bit on this upcoming trip here, going to the Ozarks for 6 days this next week. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I believe that's where we're going to call this one, guys. I appreciate you watching and supporting the channel. Y'all have been outstanding. I've gotten, what, 140 subs in the last 2 weeks. That's crazy to me, just crazy. But I do appreciate it. Like I said many times before, your time is your most valuable resource, and for you to spend it on my channel, I really appreciate that, guys. So until next time, simplify and God bless.